Here we are at Module 7. Your objectives for this module are to engage with some materials I have provided for you about differentiating instruction. That also might be termed as accommodating for students, modifying for students, and it goes back to that cartoon we looked at in Module 6 about providing equity, giving each student what each student needs to be successful. So we're going to engage in that. And then you're also going to be, as you're thinking about differentiation and planning for differentiation, you're going to design stage 3, the learning opportunities for your unit. Your tasks are to read, watch, and use the resources that I provided. There's many of them for this module because differentiation is a really important idea. And you also have Harvey to read part 4. And then you're going to write that next section of your unit and turn it in by the due date so we can have conversation about it, and then do the checking for understanding for Module 7. So the first thing I'd like to look at is a completed draft student teaching unit plan. This student teaching unit plan we're going to look at is the one for student teaching. This is a unit plan that a student turned in for 621C. So there's some things on here you don't need to do yet for this part of the course, but I wanted you to see what it looked like and what the differentiation looks like and what the expectation eventually is. So you can see that this person has their theme is humans in systems. They have these content areas that they're integrating with a focus on science, and they've listed their materials. You can see the Alaska standards are listed out in their entirety, and that's the expectation for this course. You can copy and paste most of those. They've included the methodologies and teaching strategies they're going to use, which you will need for 621C, and then learning theories, essential questions, and enduring understandings. You don't need those for this section of the course, but it's something to start thinking about it. You will need it for 621C. You can see this teacher has nice broad objectives. Students will classify and explain systems. That can apply to almost about anything. Calculate scientific points on a graph. Summarize main ideas, events, important people, and key details. Find information from books and computer websites for research. And create and perform an art, music, drama, dance, PE, or visual arts presentation. So we've got some very broad objectives there that I could reuse in a variety of integrated unit situations. She has her pre-assessment, the formative assessments, the summative assessment, and the post-assessment, which you've already completed. What we want to address now is this idea of the opportunities to learn. She has included her introduction, and she's asking the kids questions to get them hooked. Who's been born in Alaska? Who's affected by sunlight? Who is affected by the darkness? And why does it get darker in winter and lighter in the summer? So that's the way she's introducing the unit, is by asking kids questions and getting them engaged. So now we get down to this learning opportunities, which is what you're going to start working on in this module and finish up in the next module. You can see that day 1, her learning opportunity is the pre-assessment. So we talked about how assessments and learning opportunities can sometimes be iterative, and this is a good example of that. She's also included a differentiation. For students who need help with reading, she's going to read them the questions, because a pre-assessment is not about reading. The pre-assessment is about knowing the phases of the moon. So if we have students who struggle with reading particular things, we can read that to them, because that's not what the assessment's about. But that's a differentiation. That's that equity piece. But I want to be fair about whether they know about the phases of the moon. I can't use their reading skills against them as a handicap. Day 2, they're going to model the moon phases, and then they're going to be using flashlights and tennis balls. Okay, and she's included a formative assessment over here. The students can explain Earth's rotation. So her expectation is that after they engage in this activity, after she models it and the kids work on it, she should be able to talk with students, and they should be able to explain what they just did. This is where you might now modify your lesson. If you talk to your students and many of them didn't get it, then you need to reteach it. Maybe there's a couple who didn't quite understand. You can pull those students out and teach. So that's the importance of formative assessments. So you can see she goes on here with each day, the opportunity to learn. She's very clear about what students are going to do. She's really clear about the differentiations. Okay, She's got some things that students who need help with particular issues can do. She's also got extensions on time. Time is a really good way to differentiate for learning. And then she's also got some extensions for students. So you can look through here and see what she's done. These little letters she has in front of each of her modifications or differentiations are for particular students that she was thinking about. You won't be able to do that, but it's something to think about in the going forward. So then you go down, she's got 21 days because this was a student teaching unit, so she's planning for 3 weeks. She's got a closure, very important. Remember we talked about that with your lesson to have that closure. She's got a unit quiz, and then kids get to watch Apollo 13 as sort of their closure and their reward. And she's got general relevance here, and then she's got cultural relevance. And she's made a clear statement about that. You can go down and look, even though it's not required for this part of the course. You can see the rubrics that she's created for her pre and post assessment. So this is a good thing for you to look at. There's another one included also in your module that you can look from another student. So what you need to do in this module is to really use the resources in the order presented. So look at this PowerPoint screencast on differentiation. This is that same PowerPoint without the talking behind it. It's an infographic about what differentiation is and is not. If you're more of a visual learner, this might be good. Then we've got several webcasts from Tomlinson herself. So I want you to watch these in order about getting started on differentiation, what differentiation is, and then she goes through a sample differentiated lesson. These are extremely helpful, and Tomlinson herself explains it much better than I can because it's her own work. Please watch this on embedded supports. That's sort of that formative assessment and pre-teaching and reteaching that we've talked about. And then you've got the sample unit design 1 we just looked at, and another one from another student that might be helpful for you to look at as well. Since many of you are new to teaching and certainly new to this idea of differentiation, here's a list of some ideas here you can take a look at. Here's a short PowerPoint on infographics and how to use those. And if you want to start thinking about doing the self-assess your unit design, which is going to be part of Module 8 as part of your tasks, the where-to criteria are here again. It's the same criteria we used in 621A, so you can start looking at your unit. We've got 2 module times to really work on finishing up these units because it's not your module, your unit does not due this module, but I want you to turn it in with the differentiation so we can have these conversations. The final, complete, integrated, multiple content area, differentiated unit is due at the end of Module 8. But please turn in what you have so far for this module so we can continue that conversation we have. If you have any questions, concerns, please send your instructor an email or a tweet.